Good evening, everybody. This is Rod with VPT. This is the trade room recap for Monday, November 10th, 2014. I apologize if you hear a little woodpeckering in the background. We have some construction going on, landscapers out in my backyard, and they got sledgehammers and jackhammers and stuff. So, real quickly today, the trade room was closed, so I'll just do a recap of some of the activity while it was closed. Hopefully, folks were able to follow along on a few trades on Twitter. So I'm going to go ahead now and start to just sort of read and recap from the trade journal to start. It's a good way to keep my thoughts straight and make sure that we cover a lot of the important stuff. So we started the day today with a Kerpos current positions in our options and stock account of the Yahoo November 46 puts, which are in our face a little bit with Baba continuing to hit some new highs. It hit almost 120. I think it printed 119.50. So Yahoo's just going along for the ride. Picked up some more of the Qualcomm November 70 calls. I'll talk about that. Nugget gave up all the gains on Friday as we suspected. Did sell some covered calls against that. Fortunate to have a few of the cybersecurity stocks, CYBR and FireEye, just stock only, which have done pretty well. And given the pop in 3D Systems, would have expected X1 to have a better day, but just sitting there around 21. So that was the Kerpos. And the broader markets, we hit all-time highs again. If we just go ahead and look at the SPY, make that a little bigger. So almost 204 is where we hit, well above this swing in October, back in September. So continuing to push to all-time highs on the broader averages. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, so I'd expect another pretty slow day, thanks to all veterans, active military and veterans for what they do for our country, asking no questions and doing their job. It's a tough job to do it many times. So tomorrow the room will be open, but it's probably going to be pretty quiet. I don't think Todd is going to join as well, but check your email. You should have received a notice last week with, on Sunday night, with the login for tomorrow. So if you don't see that, send an email to support at Virtual Prop Trader. We'll do our best to get you hooked up. We're finding that some of the times it's going into promotions or spam, so do your best to Google around whitelisting for Virtual Prop Trader so you make sure you get it. So we talked about gold being down. Also of note, we got VIX really suppressed here. So 1265 was the VIX at the close. When I wrote this note, it was 1321. So we might be looking at some VXX calls again, probably giving ourselves some time. As you can see here, right down at a triple bottom here on the VXX. So the volatility index is something that we use to hedge our portfolios as well as to play for a little future volatility. We do that by buying calls on the VXX. So we'll be looking at that tomorrow a little bit in the room. And I did cover the 3D security stocks, Loco. What is SFM? I think that is Sprouts, another organic grocery chain that competes with Whole Foods. And GoPro all had secondaries, so those were all down a little bit. We don't have any dogs in those fights right now, but there were some of the active stocks today. And at the end of the day, the Dow closed down the Dow and the S&P notched another record closing high. Certainly didn't close down. I took a little bit of Russell and ES home short. You can see that. No, you can't see that. It's off the screen. So most of the gains today, $872 in closed gains in the model portfolio that we track for stocks and options in VPT, happened in two trades. One was Qualcomm, and this was covered in Twitter, some of the entries and exits. We had played this last week as well, the 70 calls following the earnings disappointment. Let's take a look at what Qualcomm looked like today. Just on the daily, it's not going to look like much, so kind of held this little lever here, traded between, had a low of 68.49 and a high of just above 70, so $1.50 range, which is about what its ATR is. It's 31 period ATR, so that's to be expected. And the way we traded is we came down here and got the price that was the low of the day last week and traded out of these 15 contracts at 92. Still holding 20% of our position, so that Qualcomm is a trade that anyone who was in the room last week should be familiar with. And then back to the journal, one little trade I remember in crude. Yeah, so a trade here in crude. Shorting at 78.38 and covering at 78.05 on just a single one lot. So that was most of the gains there. And then again, we're holding the positions that I mentioned. Tomorrow, being Veterans Day again, I don't expect a whole lot. We have no economic news. If we're taking a look at before the bell, not a lot of notables here at all. That's after the close. Before the bell, DR Horton, not a whole lot. So I'd expect tomorrow to be a very slow day, potentially just a drift higher as we've seen, but expect the unexpected. So we'll leave it there for now. This is Rod with VPT, reminding you to always trade like you mean it. This is the video trade recap for Monday, November 10th, 2014. You guys have a good evening. Thanks.